Hello everyone, welcome to another video in my Apollo Moon Hoax series. Today I'm going to be talking once again about the F1 engines, and actually this time I'm going to be responding to a YouTube channel that did an analysis of my previous video on the F1 engines. And when I checked out this YouTube channel, he goes by the name of SciManDan. And I'll put the link in the video below for everyone to check out. But anyway, he seems to spend a lot of time going after people who believe in the flat Earth theory. That's okay with me. Whatever one wants to do with his time is his business. I don't subscribe to the flat Earth theory, but he finds it an interesting subject. So anyway, I would like to specifically respond to a comment that he had made in my video on the F1 engines. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the video, I was talking in there about the minimal testing that was done. More specifically, I was talking about the minimal flight testing. And I wasn't really clear on the static testing or ground testing that was done, which is the comment that SciManDan had mentioned, is that I didn't seem to know that there was static testing done. So I'm going to address that, and actually I do know about that because I wrote about that aspect of the testing, that is static testing, in my book here. So I'm going to read a paragraph from chapter 2, page 43. There was a combined total of 70 hours of static tests of the F1 engines, which seems adequate given the duration of each 5-engine cluster after launch, which was approximately 2 minutes. Now, what I mean by that is, after each launch of the Saturn V, the F1 engines, of course, in the first stage of the Saturn V, would launch to an altitude of 40 miles for a duration of 2 minutes before that first stage and the 5 F1 engines were jettisoned. So that's what I mean by a duration of 2 minutes. This included 34 5-engine cluster tests, 18 of which were full duration tests. However, the amount of static testing means little or nothing unless there is comparable testing of the F1 engines in actual spaceflight conditions, which is equally, if not more important, for evaluating engine performance. And that's really the point I should have emphasized in the video, is that yes, there was a lot of static testing done, adequate it seems, and I actually break down that static testing a lot more, and it does seem adequate. But without a comparable amount of flight testing in actual conditions, it really doesn't amount to much. You're going to have one, you have to have the other to go with it. And rocket engines are machines, just like machines in aviation, which they do a lot of static testing and then they do a comparable amount of flight testing. And the reason why, now they had means of doing this on the ground, simulating atmospheric pressure and forces on a rocket, but they couldn't really duplicate that at that time anyway, the 1960s, at the altitude that the first stage of the F1 engine was going up to, which was 40 miles. So they really didn't have a lot of opportunity to see how the atmospheric forces were working on the first stage and how that would have affected the performance of the F1 engine. So that's why that, I talk about the minimal testing of the Saturn V as it really applies to the first stage and the F1 engines. So I just want to clarify that for everyone there. So I will actually post a video, my own video on this, so you can see where SciManDan is coming from. And but anyway, in response to that, to conclude this, is that I did talk a lot about the static testing in my book, and I'm going to be discussing this a lot more in future books and videos. So I ask everyone to leave your comments below, and I will try to get to some of them, and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye for now.